Been able to find these early game leads. Game 1, they struggled to close out, and Splyce were able to come back. Game 2, they looked better, but still struggling to get those clean game ends. So definitely seem to be on the upswing, and Splyce still demonstrating that you can't really mess with them when you get to the late game. And largely it comes off the back of their AD carry, Kobbe, really being a huge contributor and enabling this team to succeed.
He's doing a lot of work for his team. Want to see Nisqy step up a little bit more. He's been okay, consistent, has found a few picks, but just need a little bit more from him perhaps in some of these late game team fights. Once again, pick ban the same to start us off, and the Urgot locked in straight away for Misfits. Tahm Kench, a first pick for Splyce.
So with the Morgana banned, it's one of the potential answers. Over in the LPL, we did see Ming playing the Soraka. Don't know if that's really a Mickey champion. But Braum is another potential option. It depends on whether or not Misfits want... Oh, I'm sorry, Braum has already been banned away. Just looking at the other potential picks that he could go for, with Ragan being taken off the board, Shen is another potential option. And interestingly, the Ornn being taken away too. So they kind of covered their engage basis by putting the Ornn in. A while ago, we did see a couple of Ornn supports. I expected to be in the top lane though. And they're just going to stick with the Kai'Sa in the bot lane.
Or are they?
Or are they?
Because they continue to switch it around just to mess with our minds. You can tell with the Jinx hover that Misfits are playing a lot of Odyssey. They will stick with the Kai'Sa in the bot lane. It's worked out for Hans Summer.
Yep.
In that last game, we saw him jump onto the back line a few times. Splyce did make the change here, not picking Ornn in the first rotation, instead going for the Tahm Kench. And now maybe they'll look towards a strong mid lane.
Ooh, yeah, remember that Ryze is still up and available, and now Splyce have the ability to ban away some potential answers, but they don't need to because they're expecting the Urgot to be mid. Now, with Misfits already prioritizing Urgot in the last couple of drafts and not banning away the Ryze, they're kind of saying that we're fine playing Ryze in an Urgot matchup. We don't have a problem with that, but Nisqy has shown that this is one of his big comfort champions. It works very nicely off in the side lane. It offers good teamfight value. Falls off a little bit in the late game, but still a strong champion that I think Nisqy can have a solid performance on.
It definitely is. Interested to see Misfits banning away the Poppy themselves here. They have already got the Ornn for the top lane, but where would we see Poppy go? Maybe up towards the jungle? Maybe in the top lane as well for Splyce. Aatrox, the second ban here for Splyce, not getting rid of the Kindred that we have seen them do in the past.
The Poppy ban, to me, feels like a top lane one.
Yeah.
Kind of directed towards Odoamne. We saw how effective it was on Alfari when he disengaged, trying to take away some of those annoying carry champions.
But where are the engage tools from Splyce? I mean, like, Zac is possibly still open.
Sorry, I meant like damage tools.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that's what I'm... wrong word choice there. The Aatrox being banned away, I love this respect already being shown towards Maxthor, given that he's only played it the one time. Sejuani and Zac both still up and available. With Poppy off the table, you would imagine that Zac may rise in priority for the side of Splyce. What other options do they potentially have?
Sejuani's there, Maokai's there as well, if you want to pick up towards the top lane.
Putting Odoamne on tank duty.
Oh, what a surprise.
Gonna stick with that. So Splyce, their engage isn't the strongest right now. They do have the Varus ultimate, and Maokai ulti I always consider more of a follow-up rather than an actual solid engage tool because it's pretty slow. You can play around it. So I still think Splyce need another way to start fights. Sejuani, Zac could be options, but they don't want to blind pick those because they don't want to give Maxthor the same kind of matchup he had in Game 2 where he was just running rampant on that Taliyah.
Once again, we'll see the Alice out for Mickey here. Looking for the jungle pick for Misfits. Trundle, Kindred, both still on the cards for Maxthor if he wants them. Question is where Splyce would go if you get sort of a heavy skirmish jungler like the Kindred. Sejuani's still an option, but not usually something you want to pick into something that will invade you.
Very true. I love seeing the Kindred for Maxthor. Think it's his best jungler. I think the respect bans that go towards it are definitely worth it. In the third place match, he had a very impressive scoreline against Vitality. We even had an interview from Kikis where he said, Maxthor did to me what I normally do to other junglers, and it was a really horrible feeling, and he did it on the back of this champion. And with the Urgot in the mid lane, that kind of second bruiser, then you have the option to go for more damage in the jungle role.
There is the Skarner that we talked about in the Game 1 pick and ban, finally locked in here for Xerxes. gives you sort of the best of both worlds. You
Yes.
have impact in team fights, but you also are able to skirmish pretty heavily early on, especially if you're around those spires.
So I feel like for Splyce, they've gone a little bit more towards the early to mid game with this composition. They have solid 1-3-1 with Rise off on a side lane, maybe even the 1-4. Skana can be a very active early game ganker and jungler once he hits level 6 especially. There's a lot of setup in every single lane. You have the Rune Prison, you have the Varus ultimate, you have the Maokai wealth of CC available. I feel like Xerxes can be a lot more active in this early game. Maybe he's trying to match Maxlor and say, you know what, you've had too much control over the jungle so far in this series. I want to fight back. I'm going to grab the Skana. I'm going to show you what I'm capable of.
It'll be the first time we really see Splyce play around that early game. You know, game 1, they kind of got ahead by playing towards bottom lane. Hopefully, we'll see them do that once again, because Hansama and Mickey have struggled in the pure 2v2 versus Kobe and Kasing. Definitely a key win condition for the Splyce lineup. Talked a little bit about how Splyce, you know, have this early mid. They've got lots of ability to gank. Misfits, on the other hand, well, we'll find out a little bit more about them after Quickshot talks to Splyce's strategic coach, Duke.
Thank you very much. I am joined here by Duke, strategic coach for Splyce. Last 2 picks coming in. I want to focus in on this jungle matchup. Skana, the answer to Kindred. What has to go right for both of your team comps, for both of your junglers to succeed?
We wanted the jungler that was a bit more likely to contest the early game, and we thought that Skana was more likely to be fighting the mid 2v2 with Rise. That's also why we third picked the Rise, and we hope we will have more early game pressure that way.
And how do you intend to stop the Kindred to plan that, make sure it happens correctly?
Mainly using our pressure from bot and mid, just collapsing on the Kindred if she wants to go for an invade or go for her marks or scuttle. That's the plan. Maybe, again, just putting more pressure in the early game.
Perfect. Pressure in the early game. We'll keep our eyes on those lanes. Best of luck. Back to you guys at the desk.
All about shutting down the Kindred, winning that mid 2v2.
I predicted it.
You did. Great prediction, man. Good job.
High five.
High five.
We
Let's go.
We did it
Medic.
together, Medic. As a team.
I feel
You're
like
the one that suggested, oh, maybe they're looking for a bit more early skirmishing. Then we were like, yes, they are, Medic. It's a good observation.
Thank you.
So that's kind of what we will be looking at for Splyce. And the same
Skirmishing.
can be said for Misfits. The Kindred, I would say once she gets her first mark, that's kind of when she starts to get going. But remember that if you want to skirmish, you need priority. You need control over waves. You need to have that pushing power if you want to look for fights. And when we look across the board, so far in this series, Hansama and Mickey have often gotten the early priority, allowing Maxor to go and invade towards the bot side of the map. Senkux has always had priority on the Urgot, and then Alfari will probably have it in this matchup, even though there's just 2 tanks. So off the start, it looks like Misfits will allow Maxor to be the invade heavy jungler. But once a couple levels come under the belt, maybe the first item, that's when we'll start to see a shift. And already, Maxor off to his nefarious ways.
And looking for the invade up towards this blue buff if possible. The Scuttle Crab will come up in just a second as well. So a few different options for Maxor. And yeah, Duke was talking about how, oh, you know, if Maxor invades, we'll just get, you know, our bot lane to roam across and our mid lane to roam across. And I was thinking, they haven't really been able to push out their lane opponents. How are they going to roam across and help out Maxor? First mark is going to be picked up for him. And the Kindred is already well on her way.
Yep. Feeling good is Maxor.
yeah.
Oh, it's such a good feeling on Kindred when you stack up those marks. He has selected Xerxes as his target.
Oh.
And I want to talk about Maxor a little bit more because he's had some fantastic early games. In particular, look at those CS differentials at 15. Plus 28 in game 1, plus 42 in game 2, where he really shut down the enemy jungler on that Zac. And he's been a big part of the early game gold leads that have been coming out from Misfits. And while Senkux has often been put on more of these utility style champions like the Lulu and now more like the Urgot, Maxor has kind of stepped up as that big carry player, and he has been doing a lot for the team.
He definitely has. Actually got 100 CS more than Xerxes in the last game. At the moment, struggling a little bit, but once again, we'll get both of the Scuttle Crabs and then his own blue buff. So Xerxes succeeds any control of the river, says, okay, you can have it on the first rotation. Maybe I will fight you later on.
Look at Niski though. Level 3 has actually been able to get the push onto Senkux. So will now go back to base, pick up his tier. Has the TP too, so he can just come back to lane if he wants to. Or he can look to walk back. I imagine he's going to TP so that he doesn't lose too much farm. But
good prediction, Betty.
yeah, things looking pretty good so far. I see a Skana heading up towards the top lane. Thing is, right, I love Maokai lanes Farmer Jungler because it's literally one of the easiest lanes ever to gank. you, on the Maokai, press W, and then you press Q, and then, as a jungler, you kill things. Because the CC is just so long and the setup is so good that even if you're going up against a tank, it's just easy money.
I mean, you're a dirty Nocturne jungler, though, so
True.
basically any lane is gankable for you.
I mean, no, you need setup, because Nocturne is actually not that good at setting his own plays
It's
up
not that good when you play.
until level 6. That's rude. I'm actually a fantastic Nocturne player, if I do say so myself. My jungle control is bellissimo. I think that's the right word.
It's strange how you went to Spain but picked up Italian.
What can I say? I'm a man of many cultures. Welsh being the primary one.
Perhaps not the one you want to advertise the most. Still pretty even in this early game. Only 4 minutes in, so maybe I'm expecting a little bit too
Oh,
much.
it's very close right now, Medic. The tension so high.
4 CS difference in the mid lane. But
look,
it's actually-
Xerxes keeping up in the jungle farm this time around, not just getting completely bullied around by the Max Law. Looking for a bit of a cheeky gank down bot, but he is expecting a ward to be there, so we'll just sweep that one out. Mickey does still have the setup. Ooh, but I have my eyes on a Niski.
And a Xerxes coming
The
for the
collapse.
Spire here.
Here we go.
Collapse. Actually, fight's going to start down towards the bottom side. Sing stunned up, has the thick skin. Teleport's coming in as well from Splyce. They want this fight. Xerxes, the flash away from Maxwell and Hansama keeps him away from Xerxes. Alfari jumps in. Kobe devoured up by Kasing. No summoners left on the Tarm. Kench with the thick skin keeps himself alive for the moment and will survive. Ended up being a 4v5 in the bottom lane.
This is the kind of action we wanted early on to the game. 5 minutes in, the goal still even, Medic, as no one died. All the teleports were used across the board, though. Alfari threw his out, Senkux threw his out, Odoamne cancelled his, so his will be on a slightly lower cooldown, and Niski, he already used his TP in mid lane, but he walked down bot with Senkux. No one died, though, surprisingly, but all the summoner spells are pretty much gone in the bot lane, so if we're going to see a gank, I feel like it's going to be in the bottom side of the map, Medic.
Kobe still has flash, which is
he does,
incredible
that's true.
after that fight. Kasing saved him in the end, but yes, now you have to go bot. No matter which jungler you are, you see no flash, no summoners on those supports. Pretty easy ganks. Maxor getting up towards level 5 now as well on the Kindred. Still even in CS with Xerxes. Good job. Well done, Xerxes. And this mark is miles away, so there's no way Maxwell's going to get across towards the Gromp as the mark expires.
Now, we are in Game 3. If you have only just joined us, it's been quite the chaotic series. A lot of late-game team fighting is primarily what we've been seeing so far. Misfits have pretty consistently, I would say, gotten early-game leads. And then we've seen a lot of shenanigans around the Baron area. Some sneaks, some clutch
Misfits
plays.
have snuck it twice.
Yes. Wait, did they sneak it last game?
In Game 1 they did, and in Game 2 they did.
No, they didn't sneak it. They won a fighting game.
Yeah, it was kind of a semi-sneak, you know? It was a snook. It's part of a
I
sneak.
don't think that's a word. But good effort.
Like 90% sure. Been
all
watching
right.
a lot of Countdown.
All right, Doctor. They don't use real words in those games, Medic. Come on.
Okay.
It's like in Scrabble. You can't trust the dictionary.
That's true, that is definitely true. But what you can trust is that Misfits like to get their bot lane ahead. Hansama just pushing Kobe and Kasing
Level
back
6
for the moment.
Max
As you
Law.
say, he is level 6. Alfari coming in with the Call of the Forge God on the Ornn as well. Niski pretty low on mana, but Xerxes is here.
Oh, they want Niski.
Death from below. Maxwell actually pulled all the way out of his ornament there. That was incredible from Splyce. I expected the kill to come over. Niski goes down. Seconds running away here as well as Kasing joined the fight with I believe it was his teleport.
So I'm really confused as to how Niski died. I don't think it was from the Senkix ultimate.
To the red buff.
All right,
I believe.
We'll have the replay
I was
back,
really confused through the majority of that fight. I'll be
really
honest.
good ulti there from Xerxes. You could see the intent from Misfits was to set up a dive. Even though Niski had flash, they thought they had enough chain CC to just burst him down and then use the Urgot ultimate to just tear him to pieces. However, the arrival of Xerxes kind of ruined that plan for Misfits, which meant that it ends up being a 1-for-1 overall, and Splyce even got themselves the first blood. So I like the plan. Maxtor having his ultimate and taking aggro. Oh, he doesn't even take aggro. Yes, he does. So he has the ulti. But then look at this. Good ulti there from Xerxes to drag him out. Then the root comes through from Niski to lock him under tower. It looks like an Ignite secured the kill there from Senkux. I believe it was from the spellbook that he had.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
I believe so. That's what looked to me. I saw
Could have been collecting
fire.
potion as well.
I
The
saw,
tick,
all I
maybe.
saw was Niski burning. I'm pretty confident it was an Ignite that was sitting on the spellbook.
Cool.
Now Niski.
Oh, Niski trading to Maxwell. Maxwell has no ultimate here, no lands best for him, but they're going to turn it back around.
Flash
comes in. Niski taken out by Misfits. Great collapse from them.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. Misfits, they end up finding another pick onto Niski. He was just trying to get a bit of vision with his jungler. Didn't realize that the bot lane of Misfits had already roamed up as an answer. Good response there from the Misfits bot lane, and they end up finding a kill. Now Niski is starting to fall further and further behind. 2 kills onto Senkux. The CS discrepancy is starting to build in Misfits' favor, and that gold lead now sitting at about 600 in Misfits' pockets.
And it's interesting because in the first 2 picks and bans, we saw this Ryze banned out when we knew it was got mid.
Ooh.
Ryze was taken away from Splyce, and now Niski's got his hands on it. Is not performing to our expectations. Only a
Aha, observers confirmed I was right.
It's Ignite.
It was the Ignite. I trust my analytical eye. So I am the great detective.
That's why I'm only a doctor.
It's a good thing you weren't a vet. Would you make a great vet? Did you ever think about veterinarianism?
I don't think I could look after pets, right? Because you always get those owners, and you know, typically people who own chihuahuas are very annoying to deal with.
Okay.
Like, I'm just saying it as a rule.
That was what you decided. You said, you know what?
Usually the chihuahua stays in the handbag,
Doctor,
and they take them on the train and stuff.
Vet or doctor? Vet, yeah. Doctor. What do I dislike more?
What,
Chihuahuas or people?
No, but I dislike the owners of the chihuahuas. If the people are sick, usually they're much more quiet.
I get very loud when I'm sick. Medic! Help me! I'm ill!
That's true. Misfits are grouping up around this
Looking for a dive.
Once again, doing the same thing. Niski, no flash on him, but Xerxes in exactly the same position. It's going to be Mickey looking for the engage. Xerxes trying to get up to Hans Summer, but Niski's already down. Kasing and Kobe join the fight. That's Mickey gone as well. Teleport used on towards this mid lane tower as Oda Wamne will not join his team.
So, Misfits are fine with this trade, but the action might not be over yet. Xerxes, I heard a ghost. Oh, it was on Senkux. That spellbook keeps throwing me off, man. But the whole goal here is to actually shut Niski down. So even though it ends up being a 1-for-1, this is fine because the Ryze is falling further and further behind. It's much harder for him to get those iron spikes to be relevant in the game. And this time around, Mickey died before Maxwell died. You can see like the deaths aren't stacking up from the side of Misfits, so they're still pretty healthy in terms of the gold, while Niski is struggling. And Xerxes is here, the hero, trying to help him out, and ends up being a 1-for-1, especially with the arrival of the bot lane from Splyce. But the damage was already done. Look at all the farm he's losing in the mid lane. This tower is gradually being chunked out, and the teleport was used from the top laner as well from the side of Splyce. So Misfits now have another advantage that they can look to utilize. What do we have down in the bot lane?
Chain of Caution used on Hans Summer, cleanse straight away. Teleport coming in here as well. Mickey in a bad situation. The teleport used though. Corner the Forge Guard, and Kasing knocked up. Needs to get the thick skin off. We'll get it in time. Kobe now solo in the midst of it all. He's done. And Alfari still on the chase here. Lands a shard. Niski should be able to get himself back towards the tower.
So Mickey and Hans Summer were confident in trying to force that play. We just talked about the teleport that was available for Alfari. He utilizes it down in the bot lane to get a flank off, and with Niski trying to help his team out, it ends up being a mid-tower going down in favor of Misfits.
Third time in a row we've seen them take out that mid-tower. Niski's still underneath his own tower. Kasing flashes up towards the second tier. Niski wants to clear out this way before Alfari, Hans Summer, and Mickey can dive on him once again. Does get the clear. Oh, he roots Mickey, but not in the tower, but still has enough damage with the overload. Spellflex comes out as well. Now Senkux on the backline next to Xerxes. Ultimate available for Xerxes. Has the Impale trying to block up here. Maxlaw coming in from the top side as well, but it looks like Misfits and Splyce will settle their differences for now.
Great stuff there from Niski. 1v3, and he even secures himself a kill. That would have been dire if he ended up dropping, because it would have resulted in another tower for Misfits. But fortunately for him, he gets the great outplay, and he buys a little bit more time as Misfits' snowball grinds to a, I'm going to say, slower pace for the time being.
They're still about 1,000 gold ahead.
They certainly are. So here's the initial setup. Hans Summer is by himself, so he's forced to cleanse. Now you can see that TP comes in from behind, which is what prompts the TP initially from the Ryze. Mickey goes in, knowing that he has more than enough setup to get the kill threat down Splyce bot lane, but we have more action.
Ocean Dragon started up here by Splyce. He secures it. Now Mickey in the middle of all of Splyce. He's down. Suppression goes on to Senkux as well. He tries to get away, but the Purge Shield is not enough. And it's 2 quick kills for Splyce.
All right, definitely a lot more early game skirmishing this time around. Splyce had priority over the Drake, but for some reason, Senkux and Mickey thought that they could contest it. Turns out, 2 versus 4, you're not going to win that. Quick maths for you there, which results in an Ocean Drake going down in favor of Splyce. Misfits' mistake gets punished. Now the gold gets reset to dead even.
It kind of feels like both these teams set up good plays and then make a mistake every now and again. Like, they just take a step too far. Because Misfits' play down towards the bottom side was great. You know, they get a couple of kills and then they step a little bit too far.
I call it enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And here we can see Mickey really excited to give Kaseng a hug. Then he realizes that it wasn't his turn to give Kaseng a hug. And he ends up... He gets pushed back to the end of the line, and now he's back in his base.
Stick if you're gonna hug someone.
And there's Senkux. He was trying to do his best to help out his buddy. He's like, oh, wait, no, you can jump in the queue with me. And then they both get sent back to the end of the line. So
just bounced.
Ends up being an Ocean Drake in favor of Splyce. They currently have the kill lead, but the gold, as we mentioned, dead even. And Misfits, with full vision control all across the river, will be able to secure this Rift Herald. And they should be able to guarantee on one of these 2 side lane towers that they haven't quite been able to knock down.
This has been something Misfits have done so well throughout the course of this series, is get that Rift Herald, usually use it on the mid tower, but this time you can use it somewhere else. Splyce play it down towards the bottom side, and it would be their first tower of the game if they could get this. Kind of the story of the last couple of games is Misfits getting objectives in the early game, going for these pushes, getting a little bit of a gold lead at the 15-minute mark, and there's Splyce just stalling out the game, holding on to hope. And you have to hold on to hope when you know this could be the final series you play in 2018.
For sure, but I think in this game, they don't have the strongest late game, but look in the mid, another dive coming in.
Mickey flashes in with a splash, misses the combo, but still gets the knocks into the wall. Niski alive for the moment, but not for much longer. Mickey locked underneath the tower. One more tower shot is not going to be enough because of that unbreakable win. Xerxes still doing a lot of work.
Oh no!
Barbie here, and Summer taken out by Odoamne. Chase onto Alfire down towards the bottom side of this. Oh, Kaseng misses Tongue Lash, but
run, Alfire, run! So. No.
Yeah, that's what you said. Maokai, just press W towards him, give the kill over to your AD carry. But meanwhile, in the top lane, Misfits are still pushing it.
So do you remember when I said enthusiastic? There was a lot of enthusiasm in those plays. Definitely keen to get in the middle of things. So Misfits, they tried to set up a dive in the mid lane because they thought that Niski was by himself. And initially things looked pretty promising, but Niski took a surprisingly long time to die. And this gave time for the rest of Splyce to be able to join up. So the big thing here was Niski actually landed a really good route onto Mickey, which meant that he couldn't chain his CC together. That meant that he could just buy that extra bit of time that allowed the rest of Splyce to join. And you can see that, unfortunately for Hansama, he used his cleanse, but then he walks into the next route right next to it, allowing Odoamne to get the kill, and then Alfari ends up dying on the other side. So 2 for 1 in favor of Splyce after that last fight. They also get themselves the mid-tier 1, and they're keeping the game very even. Only 17 minutes in. We've had a lot of action so far. The action is only going to continue because Splyce do have this comp that kind of hits a big spike in the mid game, and they can play pretty effectively along the side lane, but given how far behind Niski is, I don't know how much you can rely on that win condition as we approach the 25-minute mark.
However, as far behind as Niski is, Kobe is equally as ahead. 40 CS
true,
up,
very true.
3-1-1, now has the Blade of the Ruin King completed. He has been so consistent for this team throughout the last 2 games, and once again, he's got the Varus. Last game, he did 54% of his team's damage.
Very impressive.
An incredible amount. So, want to see him do that once again in this game. Question is whether his team can work around him. Lamb's Respite pulled out of it. Now the chase comes in. Realm Warp used. Mickey eaten up by Kaseng, spat out. And that's 2 kills once again for Splyce.
Yeah, those are some quick picks coming out from the side of Splyce. Just had to use his flash, but it was well worth it as they secure the kill onto Max Law. We praised the fact that Kindred was one of his big picks, but he struggled so far to have an impact on it. And you compare that to Xerxes, who is 0-0-8. He has been there to counter-gang every single setup that Misfits has tried to make. And now Splyce sitting at a pretty healthy gold lead. The Baron spawned in about 2 minutes, and Splyce are using this opportunity to push out their sideways and gain a little bit more control over the map.
Splyce ahead in the early game? Is this some sort of topsy-turvy world where Splyce actually get a lead?
Well, this is what they drafted towards, right? And things were looking a little dangerous for them after losing a couple of early skirmishes, but definitely their proactivity has not slowed down. They're constantly looking to fight against Misfits, and they are coming out on top. And as you said it, Corbett is still ramping up 3-1 and 3 right now. He's definitely having another fantastic game, and he's going to be a big part of Splyce's success if they're able to go to match point.
One of the things I'm loving in these skirmishes, these fights, is Xerxes is saving his Impale, his ultimate, but when Maxwell puts down the Lamb's Respite, and then he's saying, oh no, you're not allowed to stay in there any longer, pulls him out, and it means that the Lamb's Respite really isn't helping Maxwell or Misfits as much as they would like.
You can see the QSS now being picked up for Senka, because you'd imagine Maxtor wants to get his hands on his own, but definitely not having the same kind of jungle farm and gold investment that he's had so far throughout the series. Constantly invading on Ascana, definitely not as easy as, say, as Zach is. So, struggling a little bit more this time around. Alphari's still pretty solid, though, level 11, a little bit behind Odo, but Splyce overall feeling pretty happy. The Rise now finished 2 items done for Corbett. Righteous Glory finished for the Ascana 2.
Yeah, there's a whole item difference between Kobe and Hansama at the moment. Splyce should be looking for these fights. They should be forcing it.
There they go.
Drake here. Xerxes running in with the Righteous Glory. Can't quite find Max Law, but we'll just clear out all of the vision they can. Niski's still down towards the bottom side of this fight. And Scuttle Crab is the main target for Splyce here after that Infernal Drake as well. Just going to quickly check to see how many stacks Maxwell's at, because usually when you get towards the 20-minute mark, you want to be looking at 4 or so on the Kindred. It's currently sitting at 2, so he's nowhere near as effective as he'd like to be.
Rough life for Maxtor. Definitely a big comfort pick for him. Let's see if he can turn it around as the game continues. Things have slowed down just a little bit as we approach the 20-minute mark. I expect the action to pick up relatively soon. I don't think the Baron's just going to be rushed down anytime soon, but you will see both teams kind of starting to set up vision around it, just make sure that they have control over the area so that no more sneaky Baron steals come out of nowhere. And you'll see a lot of these side lanes being pushed around. Largely because Niski, he wants to try and pick up a lot more farm. He wants to try and get to a point where he can threaten on a side lane and cause a little bit more chaos for the side of Misfits.
Have to remember that a team that wins today faces G2 in the second round of the Gauntlet. No team has ever gone from round 1 to Worlds in Europe. It has only ever been done by C9 over in the NA LCS. Both these teams looking to right that wrong in their opinion, I'm sure. But it's a long road to go. Best of 5 versus G2, best of 5 versus Schalke, who looked so strong when they took on Fnatic in Madrid just a week ago. Alphari falls to the Forge God. Niski says, I'm just going to sidestep this one.
Yeah, but now, look at the mini-map. You can see Niski has drawn pressure towards the bottom side of the map, and immediately Splyce are going towards the Baron. The TP is available for Niski.
I mean, this is such a difference from game 1, where Misfits had the lead and took so long to go for the Baron. Here, Splyce, the immediate opportunity, they started up. Hansama, Mickey, and Senkux are here. And here comes Maxlaw as well. 7,000 HP left on the Baron. Splyce just want to secure it if they can. Mickey can jump across this wall as well. Has the Hex Flash. He's going to jump in. Senkux now on the front line. Eaten up by Kasing. Spat out. Mickey gets the engage only onto Xerxes. And now Kobe just rain down the damage for free. That's one done. Niski's fighting up against Alphari off to a side lane, meaning that he can't teleport in. Xerxes, oh no, flashes in with the twisted advance. Xerxes on the chase as well, looking for the stun, lands it. But Senkux still pretty tanky here. Keep your eyes on Kobe. He's the key carry, flashes for Maxlaw. Can't get the damage down, but Odo takes out one up towards the side, and now Niski joins the fight. Splyce collapse in the mid lane and find the perfect fight.
Cheers of elation come from the Splyce boys as they have their eyes set on the Baron. 3 quick kills were picked up onto Misfits. They now have a very healthy 3,000 gold lead, and they want to extend it by securing this objective.
Where is the Splyce that only plays for the late game? Where is the Splyce that loses early and stalls? It is not here in this game. This has been dominant stuff from them. They found every skirmish they needed. They've collapsed incredibly well in team fights, and they are looking to take on this series 2-1.
And again, Kobe comes up big, 3-1-6 now. He didn't secure any kills, but he has just been outperforming Hansama in these team fights. You look at how they position, and Kobe, he's just constantly throwing out damage with no risk of the backline because of his positioning and because of the safety that he has from Kasing. As the Baron gets started up, Mickey tries to flank in from behind, but the rest of the team can't follow him. Hansama doesn't dive onto the backline, Senkux can't jump there, Maxlaw doesn't even do anything on this fight, and you can see Mickey is just alone. Kobe just shreds. shreds through him, and the rest of the Misfits can't really offer anything aside from running away.
100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. Great team fighting from Splyce. You can see Niski keeping Alfari busy for the entire time, then roaming up when he could. Able to join out the fight with a good round warp at the end, I believe. There he goes. Joins in. So, oh, hello, Hansama. I'll take that kill for myself.
Good stuff there from Splyce. They now have the Baron. More than happy to move their Ryze off to a side lane. He doesn't have the TP, so maybe they actually just group him up and then have your Maokai on the side. But Splyce, 23.5 minutes in, looking much more confident and proactive in this game 3.
And a big difficulty for Misfits is their very short range. In terms of wave play, they have it, but they need to get close to these minions.
Very true.
Splyce always have the opportunity for a flash engage, or Misfits could pull the trigger first. Call of the Forge God gets the double knock over Kobe. Keeps himself alive in the back of the fight. Xerxes low, Odoamne in the midst of the Lamb's Respite as well. Kobe still alive in this. Xerxes pulled back. Fear Beyond Death takes him out. Mickey falls as well. And now, actually, Kobe goes for the heal engage here. Just going for the chase if they can. Niski now joins the fray from the side. This will be the inhibitor tower. Look at that attack speed from Kobe, the lethal tempo. Doing absolute work, and they will still be able to break the base of Misfits.
Yeah, even after a good team fight from Misfits, it ends up going in the favor of Splyce's. Now they move towards the bot. They want to maximize this Baron. They get themselves another tower, but I don't think they can continue with this siege.
I think they should be happy with this. 24.5 minutes in, they are 8,000 gold ahead. That is a monumental, a gigantic lead for them. And when you look across the items, you see it reflected there. Runan's Blade of the Ruin King, Ginsu's Rage Blade already finished on Kobe. We're still waiting on the second item from Hansama. He is so far behind.
I really have not been impressed with his Kai'Sa so far this series. We talked a little bit about it last game, where to me he's always been the lane dominant AD carry, while mechanically he's always been solid. It's the late game that he's never really shone. It's always been the early to mid game, and putting him on this hyperscaling pick has not done him a lot of favors, whereas Kobe has just been allowed to shine. He has played fabulously throughout this series. He had huge damage numbers last game. He's looking to reciprocate that once again in this game. And Splyce, their Baron is about to wear off. They're kind of grouping mid. Not really what you want to do when you've already secured the inhibitor, but regardless, they have their eyes set on just controlling the bot side of the map. The Infernal is spawning in about 20 seconds, so they'll just get some deep vision and they'll say to the opposition, listen, all your base now belongs to us. That was a gaming reference. I don't know if you caught that one.
I did catch that one.
Good job.
I can't remember what it's from.
I know you don't really enjoy the video games.
I'm not a massive fan, I'll be honest. Just League of Legends.
Just League of Legends.
It's in my contract that I have to say that. Mickey, 20 deaths this series is really struggling. 8 deaths in game 1, 6 deaths in this game, 6 deaths in game 2. Not being in the best of shapes. Triple dragons now for Splyce as well. And if you're on the Misfits side, you're looking at this and you said, I thought we had a 1-year plan. I thought we were going to make it back to Worlds. We had such a good rookie year.
They did last year.
Clearly, it
wasn't a 2-year plan, Medic. Often in businesses, you prepare a 5-year plan. They were like, nope, we're good with the 1-year plan.
1 year, 5 year, 10 year. They forgot about the second year. Just like this is a
Or maybe this is the slump, right? You know, you go into the slump for a bigger spike back in year 3 or something.
As long as you don't slump all the way down. We've seen that happen before.
Very true. Well, perhaps not making it to Worlds could be the bottom for this team. Many of the players consider Worlds to be the ultimate goal, and we even heard Maxwell saying not making Worlds would mean that this year has been a failure. Right now, Splyce are the ones looking to be in control of this game. That would take them to match point and 1 step closer to facing G2 tomorrow. As now we see more vision coming out from both these teams. The vision wars around the enemy jungle. I think Splyce, I don't know how aggressively they're going to look to push this. They may just wait for the next Baron to spawn and just try and maintain some vision, but the high investment in the bot side of the map is what confuses me a little bit for Splyce, because if they wanted to play towards Baron, they'd be investing a little bit more towards the top side.
At the moment, they're just trying to get vision around that red buff. They are still 8,000 gold ahead in a very strong position, only 27 minutes in. Keep having to remind myself that we're not in the late game yet. But
the late game, yeah, we're in the late game, right?
Is this late? I feel this is late mid.
I don't. Yeah, early mid and late game, Medic. This is like this is the mid game.
Accelerated though, because they got so many kills.
Yes, but he's just really fed in the mid game. We need to write rules for this.
We also need to notice that Maxwell just used his flash
he did.
For basically no
We
reason.
said all his base now belongs to us. So he tried to go into territory that didn't belong to him, and he ends up getting punished for it.
Loses his flash. Splyce pushing in the top lane, waiting on that Baron spawn, 1.5 minutes away. We know they are not a team that is averse to waiting out if they need to, and that looks to be what they're doing at the moment. They should be pretty happy. You know, you take away the jungle, you starve Misfits of any resources, really. You can see Maxwell nowhere near as far ahead as he was in Game 2.
Oh, for sure. And Splyce, they're looking really good in this third game. They're demonstrating that they can play early game, they can match aggression. And a lot of it has come off the back of Xerxes with his fantastic counter-ganking. Niski, even though he was behind now 4-4-4, the team has helped him get back into this game. And now look, 2-level advantage over Senkux. And then Carver, the guy that's just been a huge part of the team's success, 4-1-6, consistently winning in the 2 versus 2.
70 CS ahead now, well, 63. That's a pretty monumental lead when you consider the 2 players coming into today. I think a lot of people would have put Hansama still up near the top echelon of AD carries. Kobe near the middle of the table.
Look at Xerxes.
Xerxes once again has the flank. Catches Senkux, but he can flash the wall, which is
literally
what
the
he'll do.
same place that Maxwell flashed too. I feel like they need to learn they can't enter that area of the map. Splyce just have too much control. This vision line has just been set up all the way from bot to top. Oh, that's got to instantly trigger off.
I'm pretty sure it would have been from top to bottom if it was Misfits.
But they've got the vision line set up ready for the Baron that's spawning in 10 seconds.
Mitsuki's still down in that bottom lane, but does have the teleport. You can see Mickey eyeing up a fight if he can find it, but still no avenue of attack for him. They clear out as much vision as they can around this mid lane, but the control wards are strong from Splyce, and they just back away towards the Baron. They know they can start it up. Misfits trying to answer down towards the bottom side. They look for the catch on Niski. He's realm walked away, got himself to safety, and now Hansama and Alfari on totally the wrong side of the map. Splyce should be able to get this Baron for free.
Looks like it. No contest from the side of Misfits. They're left to defend what they have left of their base, which is still 3 inhibitors for the time being. But with this Baron buff, Splyce will look to close out the game cleanly and calmly. They are always a team that has never been known for snowballing. They're just a team that, when they have a lead, they like to use it patiently. They like to not take too many gambles. And now that they have the Baron, they can just slowly work their way into the base. You have Ryze in a side lane, level 17. He's already completed 3 items and is working towards his 4th, which will be the death cap. You've also got Xerxes and Odo, who are really tanky and strong. Everything looking really good for Splyce. The question is, can they end?
That is always the question, especially against a team with a Kai'Sa and a Kindred. You know that they have that threat. Maybe if the Kai'Sa stays alive for long enough in a fight, she can shred through your front line and through those back lines. So probably the best late game marksman at the moment.
But the difference in AD carries kind of compensates for that right now. The Infinity Edge now finished for Kobe.
And 1,300 gold gone into a QSS as well, which just makes it even later that you actually get to that full build.
Well, we shall see. Here becomes the final base defense for Misfits. Splyce setting up the minion waves, both mid and bot, primed and ready. Will they go for the engage? Who's going to be the one to kick things off?
Can Misfits do what Splyce have done so well this series, and that is hold onto their base at the receiving end of pretty bad odds? Call of the Forge God used. Niski does not have the flash. They'll get the connection onto him. Hansama jumps in, uses the supercharger as well, but Niski just says, oh no, you don't! Overload to the base. Hansama goes down, and if that's not a metaphor for Misfits in this game, I don't know what is, because their Nexus towers are falling as well, and Splyce are looking to be 1 game away from playing G2 tomorrow. The fight continues. Maxwell's done. Niski's like, okay, guys, I'll just clear out the minions, pad my stats a little bit, and Splyce go 2-1 over Misfits.
Very clean game from the side of Splyce. Couple of skirmishes in the early game, things going a little back and forth. Misfits looking like they'll have the same early game that they've often had. But then we saw the consistent counter ganks coming out from Xerxes. We saw the bot lane of Splyce getting ahead again for the 3rd time in a row. And then every time they went for these skirmishes, it was always Splyce that were coming out on top. And then it was that one big one around Baron, which really solidified the lead for Splyce.
Great stuff from Splyce. That was much cleaner from them, much more like the Splyce we expected to see at times. Playing around that skirmish, did a very good job. Misfits, on the other hand, now looking down the barrel of a 3-month holiday, basically.
Yes. Things are looking a little dire for Misfits. They proved they can bounce back in Game 2. We've already had a bunch of 5 games today. Maybe Misfits can take us to that 5th one. But right now, Splyce demonstrating they can play late game team fights. If they draft towards it, they can also play towards those early games. And this team is looking good. Right now, they just seem to be the stronger of the two. And we did hear from Reckless and PGL in Madrid where he said he does have high expectations of this team. He's not really sure of what's going on with Misfits. And with Mickey now totaling 21 deaths in this series. Hansama not being his characteristic lane-dominant player, not showcasing his mechanics, is concerning for many Misfits fans because often this was the team where you played through bot. And right now, it's their bot lane that's falling behind every game.
But they're not playing through bot either. They're just giving them Kaiser Alistair and saying, play yourself.
Yeah, I mean, but this is my point, right? Like, this bot lane isn't being enabled. They're being put in a position that is allowing Kobe and Kasing to play their style and constantly find advantages.
Well, it is the last chance for Misfits as Splyce move us to match point. Can they keep their world stream alive? Find out after the break.